There's a feature on your phone and your browser that your bank encourages you to use, that shopping apps beg you to enable, and that cybersecurity researchers consistently flag as one of the most unnecessary risks in everyday digital life. It is the option to save your credit or debit card details, including the CVV, for faster checkout next time. And the security problem it creates is not theoretical. Payment theft through browser exploitation rose by 40% in 2024 to 2025, according to recent threat reporting. Nearly 40% of malicious web attacks now involve data harvesting techniques that specifically target the information browsers autofill during checkout. Formjacking, the technique used to intercept that data, compromises an average of more than 4,800 websites every single month. This video is going to explain exactly why storing your CVV anywhere except your physical card breaks the entire security system that CVV was designed to provide. Show you the 4 specific ways attackers exploit saved card details, give you the exact steps to remove this vulnerability from your phone and browser right now, and explain the one digital payment method that is actually secure and why it works differently. Let us start with the CVV itself, because most people do not understand what it is actually for. Your card number identifies your account. Your expiration date provides a basic time-based validity check. The CVV, that 3 or 4-digit code on the back of your card, does something specific and different. It is a cryptographic verification value that proves you have physical possession of the card at the moment of a transaction. The entire security model of the CVV rests on one assumption, that the number exists in exactly 2 places, on your physical card and in your bank's secure system. When you type it during an online purchase, the merchant sends it to your bank confirms it matches their record, and the transaction proceeds. The bank does not store it after that check because payment network rules actually prohibit merchants from storing CVVs after authorization. This is a deliberate design choice. The system is specifically built so that a criminal who steals your card number and expiration date from a data breach still cannot complete a card not present transaction without that CVV, because the only way to have it is to have the physical card. When you save your card details, including the CVV in a browser or an app, you break that assumption entirely. You have now placed the CVV in a third location, a location that is not your physical card and is not your bank's secure system. It is a file on your device, or a database on a retail company's server, or a record in an app's backend. And that third location is accessible to people who should never have it through methods that the CVV was never designed to defend against. Let us walk through exactly how attackers get to that stored information. The first method is compromised device attack. When malware infects a device, one of its primary targets is browser storage. Chrome, Safari, and other browsers store your autofill data, including payment details and local database files. On a Windows machine, Chrome's payment data sits in a SQLite database file in a known, predictable directory path. Malware, specifically designed to harvest credentials, called info stealers, look for these files immediately after infection, extract the contents, and transmit them to the attacker's server. The ACSC report found that payment theft through browser exploitation rose 40% in a single year because info stealers have become commodity tools available on criminal marketplaces for a few $100s. An attacker does not need to write sophisticated code. They purchase a ready-made tool and let it run. The critical point is that once the malware has the file, it has everything, not just your card number, your CVV, your expiration date, everything the browser saved for you in the name of convenience, extracted silently and transmitted while you were doing something else entirely on the same device. The second method is application breach. Every app or website where you have saved your card details holds that data in a database somewhere. Retailers have been breached repeatedly. Food delivery services have been breached. Subscription platforms have been breached. When those databases are accessed by attackers, the card details stored there are accessible. This is a risk entirely outside your control. You have no visibility into the security practices of every service where you have ever saved a card. You cannot audit their encryption implementations. You cannot know when they have been compromised. The breach may not even be disclosed publicly for months. The third method is formjacking, and this is the one that has been growing fastest. Formjacking occurs when an attacker injects malicious JavaScript into the checkout page of a legitimate website, often through a compromised plugin or third-party script. The injected code operates invisibly alongside the legitimate payment form. When your browser autofills your card details into the checkout fields, the malicious script captures those details in real time before they are ever sent to the payment processor. You complete your purchase normally, the transaction succeeds, your bank sees nothing unusual, and a copy of your full card details, including CVV, has been silently transmitted to an attacker's server. What makes formjacking particularly dangerous is that it captures the data before encryption. Your connection to the website may be HTTPS. The data may be encrypted in transit to the payment processor. None of that matters to a formjacking script because it intercepts the data. At the moment, it exists in plain text inside the form fields in your browser, before any encryption takes place. The padlock icon in your browser's address bar tells you the connection is encrypted. It tells you nothing about whether the page itself has been compromised. According to verified security research from WordFence, a recent form jacking variant specifically targets WooCommerce sites and uses the browser's own local storage to persistently store stolen card data across sessions, meaning the captured information persists even if you close and reopen your browser before it is transmitted. The attacker can retrieve it on their own schedule. The fourth method is social engineering amplified by reduced vigilance. When transactions are frictionless, when the card is already saved and checkout is one tap, people pay less attention to what they are buying from, what site they're on, and whether the page looks exactly as it usually does. The cognitive load reduction that makes saved cards feel convenient is the same reduction that makes users less likely to notice when they are on a spoofed checkout page. A phishing link that mimics a familiar retailer or a site that has been compromised in a way that is not visually apparent. Now let us talk about the practical fix. And it is worth doing this right now while you are reading this rather than filing it away as something to do later. On an iPhone, open Settings, scroll down to Safari, tap Autofill. You will see a section for credit cards with a toggle. Turn this off. Then tap Save Credit Cards to see whether any card details are currently stored. Delete them. This removes the data from Safari's storage and prevents Safari from prompting to save new card details in future checkout sessions. On an Android device using Chrome, open Chrome. Tap the three-dot menu in the top right. Tap Settings. Tap Payment Methods. You will see any cards currently saved in Chrome's payment autofill system. Delete each one individually, then toggle off Save and Fill Payment Methods to prevent new cards from being saved. Google also syncs this data across devices connected to your Google account, so it is worth going to My Account. Google.com on a desktop browser and checking under Payments to see whether any card details are stored at the account level rather than just the device level. Beyond the browser, go through every app on your phone where you have ever made a purchase. This includes shopping apps, food delivery apps, grocery delivery apps, ticket platforms, subscription services, and any game or service where you have ever made an in-app purchase. In each one, find the Payment Methods section, usually under Account Settings or Profile, and remove any saved card details. This takes time, and it is tedious. It is also the only way to reduce your exposure from application breaches, because you cannot control how well those apps protect their databases. You can control whether your card details are in those databases at all. At this point, you may be wondering whether Apple Pay and Google Pay are subject to the same risks. The answer is no, and understanding why is genuinely useful because it explains which form of digital payment is actually secure. Apple Pay and Google Pay do not store or transmit your actual card number or CVV. When you add a card to Apple Pay, your device and your bank create a unique device-specific token, a randomly generated number that represents your card for that specific device. When you make a payment, your device transmits that token, not your card number. Each transaction also generates a one-time dynamic security code that changes with every purchase. The merchant never sees your actual card number. Their payment system never receives your CVV. If that merchant's system is breached, attackers get the transaction token, which is useless outside of the specific transaction it was generated for. A form jacking script running on that checkout page would capture the token, which is meaningless to an attacker because it cannot be replayed in a different transaction. This is the meaningful distinction. Browser autofill shares your actual card details, including your CVV, with every checkout page your browser visits. Tokenized payment systems like Apple Pay and Google Pay share a one-time token that contains no reusable financial information. One of those options breaks the CVV security model. The other preserves it and improves on it. If your phone supports Apple Pay or Google Pay and a merchant or app accepts it, use that option rather than entering card details directly or relying on browser autofill. For subscriptions and recurring payments currently set up with direct card details stored in an app, check whether the service allows you to switch the payment method to Apple Pay or Google Pay. Many do. Making that switch converts a stored card detail into a tokenized authorization that the service cannot see and an attacker cannot extract even if the service's database is compromised. If Apple Pay or Google Pay is not available and you need to complete a guest checkout where you type your card number manually for the transaction and the merchant does not store it afterward, is more secure than saving the details. You type the number once, the transaction completes, and your CVV does not persist in a database waiting to be breached. The trade-off is typing your card details more often. The trade-off is worth it. The daily monitoring habit that closes the remaining gap is simple. Check your card transactions once a day, not once a month. Attackers who obtain card details often begin with small test transactions, typically $1 or $2, to verify the card is active before making larger purchases. These test transactions are easy to miss if you only check your statements monthly. They are obvious if you check daily. Catching a $2 test transaction and reporting it stops the larger fraud before it begins. The feature that makes checkout faster also places your CVV, a security code designed to exist only on your physical card, into databases and device files that are actively targeted by malware, application breaches, and formjacking attacks at a scale that has increased 40% in a single year. The fix is 15 minutes of settings changes, a slightly more attentive checkout habit, and a daily 30-second statement check. Start with the browser right now.